Welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy here with Sally Hoskin, and we are standing in Detroit Lakes, I would say newest park, but although she won't call it a park, it's a preserve. And Sally Hoskin, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the upstream Sucker Creek and the greater Sucker Creek Preserve. First off, tell us the difference between a preserve and a park.
When you think of a park, you think of biking in it, playing soccer, playing baseball, different very active things like that. In the preserve, it's more geared to being partial to the animals and the plants, and it's an opportunity for education and learning.
All right, and that's what this preserve is all about. That it's under construction now. We've had the Sucker Creek Preserve for a few years now. When was that actually finished? What year was that?
We had the grand opening September 6th to the 8th, 2006.
All right, so it's been several years, and now we have Upper Sucker Creek. And talk a little bit about this addition to the preserve.
Upstream, we got upstream because Sucker Creek itself is not a water source, and we must have a water source. I had heard it rumored that an international beverage maker thought that our water was so wonderful, and I thought we have to buy it before they beat us to it. Also, I feel it's important for the city to own an amount of mineral springs, and there are mineral springs on this parcel, which in turn feeds Sucker Creek.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a learning experience right there.
Mineral springs, many children and adults as well have not seen mineral springs. And then the fun part about this place is you can start at the mineral springs and you can go all the way down to the mouth of Sucker Creek, which is that big Detroit Lake, and it's only taken you about 20-25 minutes, maybe 2 hours if you're curious.
All right, so the area we're talking about is we're just off Highway 10, and you might hear a few shots here. The gun club is right over there, but this is a very unique area here that you have preserved. I mean, there aren't a lot of open areas like this around anymore.
No, there aren't. This is what's behind us is a circular park lot, and then we have two marsh walks in there. One of which will be able to have trout fishermen stand right on the marsh walk and fish, and it doesn't matter whether they're handicapped or not.
Okay, very good. I'm here with Sally Hoskin at the Greater Sucker Creek Preserve, the upstream Sucker Creek, which is under construction. They've moved some dirt around here. We've got some dirt trails set up here, but we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll kind of venture in just a little bit and kind of give you a perspective of what the trails will be and more on upstream Sucker Creek after we return.
Right.
All right. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings. Sally, we're walking along what is to be Upper Sucker Creek on the upstream Sucker Creek here in Detroit Lakes, and it's the beginning of the construction of the trail, but it's dirt right now, but what is it going to be eventually?
It's going to be the same surface as we have in Sucker Creek Preserve.
Okay.
And as we walk along, because it is so uniquely covered, it has to have two marsh walks. So we're approaching one. And you'll notice on the left-hand side here are cordgrass and marsh milkweed, which the monarch butterfly needs. It's a gorgeous sight. And you'll find all kinds of gorgeous sights as you walk through upstream.
All right. And there's going to be signage here pointing out some of this stuff as well?
We're going to have some lovely signs, and it's interesting that you should ask because they're going to be pretty detailed. Mm-hmm. And we purposely allowed quite a bit of wording in there because we felt we want people to learn, we want them to be interested, and we want them to get answers. And when they're tired of reading, they can quit.
They can just keep walking. All right, so we're walking here, and it looks like we're coming to the end of the trail, but I know that it goes on quite a bit further. Before we talk about this end, how many acres are involved in upstream Sucker Creek?
52.7.
Okay.
And there's 64.24 in the preserve. So we got a total of exactly 117 acres conserved, and it will be all within the city limits.
And it will be available to walk around the whole preserve?
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll have the same rules as city parks, but for opening in the morning and closing at night, and pick up your litter and so forth.
Okay. All right. So because this is upstream Sucker Creek and we're kind of in a swampy area, well, it's a marshy area, obviously. We're coming to the end of the trail here, but it will connect through a marsh walk. And tell us a little bit about the marsh walk, what it's made of, and why it's needed, obviously.
There will be 2 marsh walks in upstream. There already is a marsh walk in the preserve, and they'll be the same. So it's equivalent to a dock, but on that second marsh walk, they'll be able to trout fish. All you got to do is get a stamp onto your fishing license.
But with the preserve and the materials here, obviously it can't just be a plain old dock.
Well, apparently you are absolutely right, because the material has not arrived, and we've been waiting for it for some time. But that's the best I can give you for an answer. And if you go to Sucker Creek Preserve, and if you don't want to walk a long ways, if you take the Brookridge entrance to Sucker Creek Preserve, you go walk for a block and you get to the marsh walk, then you can see exactly what it's going to look like.
Okay. And are there going to be different entry points to the upstream Sucker Creek?
The other, to upstream, the other end by the circular park lot for Sucker Creek Preserve is going to be a walking entrance, whereas we've come to the south end of upstream, and there's a regular circular park lot here.
So, Sally, what we've learned today is that this is all about education. It's quite an education process actually building the preserve. That's
really correct. And what I'm hoping is to make this a partnership of community people. One important of course, the city with the ownership, but also schools. I'd like them to build into their curriculum, into their science curriculum, field trips to upstream Sucker Creek and to Sucker Creek Preserve. And it would be very nice if the likes of Rotary, Kiwanis, the other charity organizations are willing to pay for bus field trips here. And after all, this place is a lot closer to all the schools than the other wild places in the area.
So it is. It's but like we said, it's an education building it, but it's the greater good is that it's an education for our youth and a way to get them into nature and learn for everyone, but especially youth.
Right. That's exactly right.
All right. Well, it's a great idea that how does it make you feel to see this is all coming into being?
I'm just delighted. And the more I find out that I have taught someone about nature, the better I feel. I've gotten a couple letters from people, one who said that he was so pleased with what he was seeing, he ultimately went into the profession of biologist or ecologist, I guess it was. And then a couple of families have written me and said how much they enjoy going to Sucker Creek Preserve. So I'm sure it will continue, and I love it.
That gives me goosebumps when you talk about that. That's very cool that you get letters back.
Yeah, I do.
Sally Hoskin is obviously you're not actually physically building it, but you're the one with the idea, and it's now become reality. So you're an inspiration.
Thank you very much. I'm the one who converted the vision into applying for grants and getting them.
And you should write a book next.
Who knows?
Okay. You heard it here first on TV3. Sally Hoskin, thank you so much for your work with the conservation here in our area.
Thank you for helping me let other people know about it. I appreciate that.
For Sally Hoskin, I'm Carol McCarthy, TV3 Hometown Happenings.